Politico had this story earlier this week, a leaked group chat with a bunch of young Republican leaders. I'm not going to walk through all the gory details, but suffice to say the comments were extremely racist, anti-Semitic, often violent, misogynistic. But my question is about J.D. Vance's response to this story. So Vance tweeted an image of a text from Virginia Attorney General candidate Jay Jones, where Jones advocated for political violence. And then J.D. included text from himself that said, "This is far worse than anything said in a college group chat, and the guy who said it could become the AG of Virginia. I refuse to join the pearl clutching when powerful people call for political violence." I will gladly say that I found Jay Jones's texts to be nuts, and I condemn them, and I think there's no place in America for political violence, full stop. But I'm curious what you think the impact is of the vice president just refusing to say, yeah, you know what, those comments were out of line.
You know, why not both, right? Why not condemn political violence or violent talk on both sides? I do think JD is making maybe he has no choice here, but he's making a tactical error. I think Trump is the only politician that can get away with this crazy shit. And I think that one of the reasons Ted Cruz broke with the Trump administration on the question of Jimmy Kimmel's suspension cancellation is that Ted understands that Trump is singular and can get away with uniquely unconstitutional things. But when it comes time to run in a primary, someone's going to need to be able to say, look, I supported Trump all the way, but when he came after your First Amendment rights, I was there to stand up. And I think JD has just decided, no enemies to my right, even if by to your right, it means actual young neo-Nazis.
They have a real and growing right-wing extremism problem. I don't know if you've seen the clips of Nick Fuentes going around and the things he says on his show. I would argue that this kind of commentary from these non-kids is far more common than it was 10 years ago and is becoming kind of coin of the realm in a lot of these young MAGA circles.
I mean, I don't know that, but I will say that I kind of suspected that some of these kids were, I shouldn't say kids, these young men were shit posters and mildly racist and everything else. But the sort of extent of it, the enthusiasm with which they did it, and, the fact that someone was like, hey, if this ever got published, we'd be cooked for real, indicates they know exactly what they're saying and why it's terrible. But there's a sort of culture of showing that you don't give a shit, right? And it's one thing to be irritated by the requirement that you put your pronouns on a Zoom or whatever, or that you want to watch Andrew Schultz and laugh at all the jokes, even if a third of them are technically inappropriate. That's fine. But we swung a very, very long way from people being irritated by a DEI panel or, PowerPoint to now it's cool to say racist shit.